Yeah. They talking this and that, but it's easy calling that bluff. They want that gimme, 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 but this isn't ABBA. I show up looking dapper, my mama's favorite rapper. She taught me never let a moment pass you, so I just run away, and I never look back. I hope it's what I'm hoping for. Run away, I got my backpack. Travel light, got my life inside a suitcase. Bought a ticket, I'm just trying to find a new place. What's the occasion, baby? Just another Tuesday. Okay, life feel like a movie. Okay, it's just another Tuesday. Say that you're lonely, then send me your ID. Got nothing to hold me right where I'm at. So come and hit closely, want you to be happy. You're tired of roaming right off the map. 1, 2, 3, go! She said I'm overzealous, she said I'm all but jealous. I probably would've said the same thing looking back. She said I'm out my melon, I never learned my lesson. I probably would've said the same thing looking back. Day one, yeah, you been my day one. When they hit me for the sauce, I gave them all that A1. Fake love, yeah, they give me fake love. You the only one I wanted with me on my way up. Can we just run away, and I never look back. I hope it's what I'm hoping for. Run away, I got my backpack. Travel light, got my life inside a suitcase. Bought a ticket, I'm just trying to find a new place. What's the occasion, baby? Just another Tuesday. Okay, life feel like a movie. Okay, it's just another Tuesday. Say that you're lonely, then send me your ID. Got nothing to hold me right where I'm at. So come and hit closely, want you to be happy. You're tired of roaming right off the map.
Whoa, there we go. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Relo Show. How's it going, guys? I am here with Sean Richard and Mark Sullivan. I lost track. I think this might be episode number 50. What do you think?
I don't know.
This is episode number 50.
There we
kind
go.
of nutty. Yeah,
I know.
nutty.
Each and every Tuesday, you just got to keep on showing up. Fellas, how's it going?
Well, I cleaned my office, as you can see behind me.
It's very nice,
Thank you.
obviously.
I got new plants, some binders on a shelf. Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
Overall, things are okay. Yeah, got some health issues that I'm dealing with, but other than that, man, things are rock and rolling.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm glad you still showed up. Why don't we dive into our wins and losses for the week like we do every week? Mark, why don't you start us off?
All right, cool. Wins. You could call it a win and like a halfway loss because I'm late on it. I do have my webinars, my direct-to-consumer at least, webinars scheduled out for the entire year next year. My goal was to have it done by the end of October. Life got in the way. I still got pretty close. It's scheduled before 2025, so that's really good. I wasn't here when you talked about reaching a year in Spanish, so that's good. And on a personal note, I have also reached an average. My goal was to get to an average of 12,000 steps a day over the last 12 months, and I've got that. It's like 12,132, and I made that up, but it's over 12,000. So we're good there. Getting applications, but that's a win. But they're just sitting there waiting for rates to go down, and we don't know when that's going to happen. So I literally have 6 loans in the pipeline right now that are just like, I'll lock it whenever the rate's there, which might come next week, or it might come in July. We will see.
Let's hope sooner than later. Sean, how about you? How's your week?
Yeah, man. Overall, the week has been going really well. I'll start with my my shitty moment of the week here, and guys, and I don't think I've shared this with you guys yet. So I've either got a partially herniated disc or a pinched nerve in my neck. One of the two. Still doing some figuring out what's going on there. So from a physical health standpoint, my left arm is useless. I have no strength in my left arm, and there's constant pain shooting down, tingling in my hands. Not ideal. So that's my loss for the foreseeable future.
But the win
I'm
is
going to work to try and get that squared away. What was that, Mark?
the win is that you're right-handed.
The win is that I'm right-handed. My win this week, guys, is the power of habits. So I taught a class to a group of real estate agents 3-4 months ago, maybe even a little bit longer than that, maybe 4 or 5 months ago. And I've been, dripping on them with, content, my weekly email newsletter to agents, my private Facebook group that I have agents in, periodic calls, messages, things like that. And nothing, no response. And then all of a sudden I recently had one of the agents on this awesome team reach out and said, "Hey, I've got a client I'd like to connect you with," and connected me. And we had a great conversation with the client. Feedback, went back to the agent. She's like, "Hey, super impressed. Looking forward to do more with you." And I firmly believe that if I had not been, as we talked about last week, persistently consistent in my communication, in my constant little drips, providing value, that wouldn't have happened. So it's one of those things where we forget about all the little things that we're doing on a daily basis and the incremental benefits that they're adding to our lives and to our businesses. Same thing with you guys in the Spanish or the steps. We look back a year, in my case, 4 or 5 months, and it didn't look like anything was going on. And then all of a sudden, it looks like it's going to be potentially a great relationship going forward. So that was my win for the week, is just really positive feedback on that. The work I'm doing on a day-to-day basis is paying off. It just may not be apparent day in and day out.
Well, in order to get started, you got to put one foot in front of the other, right?
Yeah, and I'll comment on that because I love that topic. We like to think, as salespeople, we do sales activities, and we like to think maybe it's the instant gratification culture that we do live in, but we like to think, hey, I did this webinar, they heard me talk, they should give me business now. Or you're making a consumer-facing video. Wow, 400 people saw this video, they heard me talk. If they need this, that they're going to reach out, and there's going to be something tangible for me to see out of this now. And that just doesn't work that way. What you have to do is what Sean's been doing for the last more than 12 months, is consistently having a message out there in front of the same people over and over and over and over again, to have it finally pay off, right? To have things start to pay off. Sean didn't do one webinar and send out one newsletter and wait for 15 loans to come in. He did it religiously every single week. And that, I like to say that the universe will punish us for doing something once and never again. They will make sure that we don't get any business from it, right? But definitely habits are where the money's at, for sure.
Oh, 100%. I mean, for me, wins and losses for the week, I'll just say loss. I have to bring it up because Mark and I were talking about it before we jumped on. So they are paving my road right outside my house today. So minor inconvenience, we all had to go park our car down the street. It's just kind of a little life lesson. It really messed things up for the garbage man. And he thought nobody was around and went on a tirade of swears after, being inconvenienced. And then he tried to open his door, realized that was locked and had to go all the way around, and then proceeded to swear multiple times again. It's just one of those things where it's like, you think nobody's around, nobody's watching. People are always watching. And, I try not to laugh. It was kind of funny. But it is, people are always watching, whether it's, they let you know that. And to me, that always comes up in social media and some of the stuff that I like to do, even the newsletters that you do, Sean, whether they say it right away or not, as long as you keep on keeping on, right? It can pay dividends in the end. So As far as wins for the week, I had a couple more applications come in, so pretty excited about that. Really seems to being part of my BNI group really seems to be paying off and making some strides there. So, Mark, you wanted to say something?
I thought you were done. I apologize. But no,
No,
I was
go ahead.
going to going back to talk about consistency and doing something, on a regular basis and consistently doing it for a long period of time pays off. We like to talk about. So our topic today is something that Sean does better than Candido and I do on a regular basis, and that's sending out newsletters and being in front of people. I do it with irregularity, but Sean does it with regularity. So I'm going to let him kick off the topic today so that we can comment. Sean.
Well, no, I appreciate that. And yeah, and for those of you tuning in, whether you're a loan officer or a real estate agent, the first thing that comes to mind when you hear newsletter, you may be thinking like, how is a newsletter really going to really have an impact on my business? And I'll be candid. I thought the exact same thing for quite some time. And then I had some of my coaches really help turn my thought process around on it. And, as part of the real estate industry, one of our goals is to constantly stay in front of our audience, but it's not enough to stay in front of our audience, right? Like if we're, if I was, reaching out to Candido on a regular basis with information that had no relevance to him whatsoever, Candido's probably going to block me, opt out of what I'm sending him. He's gonna cut me off. And so just staying in front is not the main ingredient. That's a big part of it, but it's not the main ingredient. We've got to make sure that we've got to be able to providing value, and not just what we believe is value, but what our audience believes is value as well. And Candido, maybe you can kind of chime in on this as well, because when I think of providing value, I think of the social media formula, the 3E social media formula. Are we entertaining? Are we educating? Or are we encouraging? And I feel like those three, that formula really applies to so much more than social media. I really do believe that it applies to any instance that we are trying to add value to our audience. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, to be candid, I think we actually spoke about this when we were kind of laying out some of our goals for the new year. One of my goals for 2025 is to go ahead and get my newsletter going. So I'm actually in the process of that. And, I very much compare that to some of the things that I already do with social media, right? So, as far as just as a quick example, when you come up with the subject line, that's like your hook, right? I mean, every single time you want to make sure it's something, it's not just Candido's newsletter and that's it. It needs to be, hey, 3 ways to set yourself apart in this market. That's a little bit more enticing. I mean, I would click on Candido's newsletter, but I don't know if everybody else would. So, there are a lot of different a lot of things that are similar in the way we go about it. But honestly, Sean, I wanted to ask you about building your list, right? Because I'm at the point where I'm trying to kind of build everything up. I guess, who do you send it to, and how do you go about building those lists?
Yeah, man. So I love that. So what I was really wanting to hope that we get into today is I want to break it down for everyone tuning in today on how to build a successful newsletter in your business. And there's different segments of audience that you could build it for. Right now I send a weekly newsletter out to all of the real estate agents in my database. My goal as I head into 2025 is to start doing a monthly newsletter to the rest of my database, like the rest of clients, circle of influence, things of that nature. And so, there's different segments that you can send out email newsletters to. So right now I have one that goes out to my real estate agent database. And as far as building the list, my goal is to get in front of as many people as possible. So we've talked about before, goals going into 2025. A big part of my goal is to do more classes. That's agent classes, that's home buyer classes, both online and offline. So for me, building my agent database to maximize the number of agents I can be sending my newsletter out to, a lot of it's through these classes. I integrate my newsletter into these classes. When I'm teaching classes, I actively have slides in my presentation where I'm talking about some of the key value propositions that I bring to the table. One of which being, hey, I've got a weekly real estate lead generation and growth digest or playbook that I send out to real estate agents. If you'd like to be in, if you'd like to receive that on a weekly basis, sign up here. And so I leverage classes to build that list. Anytime I teach classes, it's 5, 10, 15, 20 people I get to add to my newsletter list. And then I also leverage social media and that's through, and Candido, you and I have talked about this strategy a little bit as well, but when I create a high value piece of content for real estate agents, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll go out to Facebook groups related to real estate, and I'll drop a post in the groups, in one of the groups or multiple groups, and say, hey, I've got this awesome content, this lead generation strategy, and I'll fancy it up, make it sound, sexy. Let me know if you're interested and I'll send it to you, or drop a me in the comments and I'll send it over to you. And then people, agents will drop a me in the comments, and then I'll go and I'll DM them like, hey, Candido, saw that you dropped a me in the comments on my post. I'd love to send you this lead generation strategy. What's the best email address for me to send it to you? So then they provide their email address. Well, now I have a name and an email address, which is really what I need for my email newsletter. Now, I don't always love opting them in without like them saying, hey, yes, please sign me up for this. So a lot of times what I'll do is, instead of just saying, hey, I have this, would you like me to add you to it? What I'll do is I'll say, hey, let me know if, what you think of the lead generation strategy. Oh, by the way, I also send out a weekly real estate lead generation and growth playbook. I'm going to hook you up with that. So that way you can get more than just this one lead generation strategy. And 9 times out of 10, they come back and go, oh, wow, awesome. That sounds fantastic. Thank you. And so I don't necessarily ask them, but I basically say, hey, I'm going to hook you up with this. And I wait for them to either say that's great, or them to say, hey, no, please don't do that, which is rare. So that's a big part of it. Those 2 ways, the classes and then the social media groups, are 2 of the massive ways that I grow the number of agents that are my database, and the ones that I've got at least the email address and name to send to them.
Okay. Now, as far as the frequency and the timing, I believe you send it once a week. When have you kind of played around with the specific timing that you send these out?
I have. So I'm gonna share this real quick. Now, I was hoping to do this like one at a time, but I can't. It's one graphic. So I'm just gonna share this graphic with everybody today. And this is like the 5 ingredients for crafting what I consider a great email newsletter. And so you see here, so Candido, you already hit on the first one, right? Like, you've got to have an awesome subject line, and let's see, how's the best way to do it? Perfect. So you've got to have a great subject line. It's very much like a social media hook. You've got to be able to grab people's attention. That subject line has to compel them to open the email. So, I use sendcheckit.com, which is a subject line tester. So you can put in a subject line and it will grade how well that subject line will be at open rates. So give you an example of a couple of subject lines that I've used recently. This Zillow hack is a must for all real estate agents, right? And so just grabbing their attention. Okay, wait a second. What do I have to do? I'm using Zillow, which is a big name in our industry, and so gets attention. Another one that I've used recently is this one. Don't fall behind. Use these 9 AI real estate hacks to be more efficient. Right. So I've got there, I'm playing to the fear of missing out, right? Don't fall behind.
Right.
So that's a big one as well. Let's see. Here's another one here. Here's another subject line I did. I use their names in the subject lines. My CRM can input their names. So I'll have like Candido, real talk. You're working hard, but are you working smart? Right. I'm asking a question in the subject line. And these have all been extremely highly rated in the subject line tester. So the subject line is critical to get those initial open rates. If you do research on marketing email open rates, a decent marketing email open rate is in the low to mid 20% range. And so my goal is obviously to get as high as possible. And I've been doing this for about 15 months now, as far as consistent newsletters every single week. My open rates range between 45 and 60% right now. Wow. And so a lot of that has to do with me putting, a lot of energy into making sure I've got great subject lines. You can see here read time. So I think this was one of the biggest pieces that really unlocked newsletters for me. Read time is so critical, in my opinion, because we live in a society where attention spans are virtually non-existent, right? Like, it's like, hey, you got, what do they say in social media? You got 3 seconds to grab my attention. Otherwise I'm gone. Okay. Yeah. Well, my subject line, hey, let's get them in the door. And then I want to tell them what kind of investment time-wise this is going to take. And so having the read time for the newsletter at the top of the newsletter, I believe, is a critical component to get further buy-in, right? Time is valuable. As you can see, your time is valuable. Let them know, hey, what's the investment going to be here? And then as you can see, under 5 minutes, I try to keep all of my newsletters in a 3 to 4 minute read time or less. And what I'll do is when I compose my newsletter, I'll copy it, I'll paste it in ChatGPT, and I'll ask it, hey, based on the average reading level in the United States, what amount of read time is this? And so it'll spit it out. It'll tell me. Okay. So read time, I think, is critical. Content and topics. This is where we've got to provide.
Sean, real quick. Sorry, I meant to interject earlier, but I was on mute. Just want to interject on that. That read time thing is extremely important. If you're listening or you're watching, don't gloss over that. Like, literally, if somebody puts read time in an email or anything that I'm considering reading, if it puts read time in there, it will 100% influence whether or not I actually read it or not. Right. So if it says 35-minute read, no, I'm all good. I obviously wouldn't say that. But if it says 2-minute read, 30-second read, if I'm interested in the topic, I was like, I got 2 minutes. Let's do this.
So Mark, let me ask you a question on that, because, and this may not go through your mind, but in my mind, I feel like this is also part of that value is, and so you may not directly think of this, but when you see that, does that help you feel like they value your time?
Yeah, I think, maybe subconsciously, like you said, I'm not 100% sure if that's something that goes through my mind. Everybody, and as we forget this, as salespeople, everybody's they're going to read our stuff or not based on how much value they think they can get out of it. Not because Sean sent it to me and he sent it to me every week for the last year. I have to feel like I'm going to get some value out of it, and so maybe if they're telling me, hey, only 30 seconds, that's all I want from you. Then yeah, subconsciously probably so.
Yeah. And I think subconsciously is kind of what I was thinking about as well. Okay.
Yeah. But more so I read it, right? If you say, give me 30 seconds of your time, I was like, yeah, I got that. Or 2 minutes of your time. Yeah, I got that. That's fine. Because if I can't see the end of it, and I don't know how long it's going to take me to read it, probably not going to read it, if that makes sense.
Right. And I don't know about you guys, but there have been plenty of times where I started reading something and I got like a paragraph or two in, and I started thinking to myself, oh my gosh, like how much longer am I going to be reading this?
All the time.
Yeah. Like
All the
happens
time.
way too often. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? And then I bail on it because I'm like, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be reading this. And I'm like, I'm spending more time than I expected on this.
100%. If I see a bunch of long paragraphs, I'm tapping out. I like, bullet points, things kind of separated, nice, easy read. But that's just me. That's the way I prefer to kind of consume things rather than, a long story, if you will.
Well, I agree with that 100%. It's me personally, when I do my newsletters, like I don't put more than 2 to 3 sentences together in a paragraph. I keep it very, very broken up, very easy on the eyes. Content topics, like this is where we've got to provide like those 3 E's, right? Like we've got to provide value and it's got to be compelling content. So as an example, for me, my weekly newsletter to real estate agents, my goal is to provide either lead generation strategies that are actionable that they can implement in their business, or I want to provide concepts about how they operate their business. Maybe I'm talking about automating mundane tasks. Maybe I'm talking, maybe a broker reads it and I'm talking about building a powerhouse team of real estate agents under them. Maybe I'm highlighting, 3 like for instance, the AI tools, right? I highlighted 9 AI tools that can make their business run more efficiently and help them do more and serve more clients. So the content has got to be compelling. It's got to add that value. And that can also be, telling stories about struggles that we've had that we overcame or got through. Hey, here's a problem, that I had in my business and here's how I overcame it, or here's how I solved it. I don't want you to make the same mistake that I did.
Right.
So the content and the topics is really, really critical. I mean, you see that last line on the graphic here: educate and build trust. It's about how much we're giving. Give more in payment than we take, or give more in value than we take in payment. So next, what you actually asked, Candido, right? Delivery time and dates. And this is really critical. Now, again, I built this graphic around, educating agents for sending newsletters out. Weekend mornings or Monday mornings, depending on your audience, are some of the best times. I feel like during the week, our inboxes are bombarded constantly. And so looking at what are the times of the week and the day that our inboxes aren't overly bombarded, and people are maybe like catching up on their email. Hey, I haven't had a chance to check my email in a day or 2. Let me kind of catch up on that. And so Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings, in some cases, for, Monday mornings for me, if you're sending out to real estate agents, and keeping it first thing in the morning, trying to hit it at, I don't want to say the first email in their inbox, because we all know we get some spam stuff that comes in at like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
But keeping it early in the morning, so that way when our audience hops on their computer and they jump in their email and they're kind of filtering out what they want to invest, a little bit of time into from an email perspective. It's right there, ready to go, and they're not getting it at noon or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, things like that. So I think those are times and dates that make the most sense, in my opinion.
Another way to another backup for the weekend. Way to back you up for the early in the morning on Saturday and Sunday. Really on Saturday is great because I always tell people, post when you think you would be reading it, right? Especially if it's for an industry person. If you're an industry person, when are you more likely to be struck with something that's interesting for you to open up and actually take the time to read? Is that going to be at 8:30 on a Tuesday morning when you get the whole workday ahead of you? Are you going to take your time out of your day to go open that email? Or are you more likely to do it when the family is sleeping in a little bit? You just made a cup of coffee. You went to sit out on your porch or sit on your couch. You pull up your phone with an intention to just kill time and read whatever pops up on your phone. That's, to me, sounds like an ideal time to put that what you want to get read in front of somebody, if that makes sense. They're literally just sitting there with coffee and nothing to do because it's Saturday, it's 8:00, and they haven't started their day yet.
100%.
I love that. And I also think going by that same sort of idea, is it something that you would actually read yourself, right? So not only is that an ideal time for, you or your ideal person, but is it something that you or your ideal person that you want reading it would actually take the time to read? So I think some good points there. So fellas, I think we're coming to the end here. Anybody
Gotta get to that
have
last
anything
one,
else?
man.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we got to get that last one. So the call to action, I just want to touch on that real quick. And this is really key. So read this very carefully, and I'm going to read it verbatim. Weave in a call to action if you've demonstrated a solution that can help the reader. If you have truly provided value, then it's okay to ask for something in return, and for me, I've got the same call to action on every single one of my newsletters to agents. I give them 3 options at the bottom of every single of these newsletters that go out. I say, hey, whenever you're ready, here's how I can help you. Let's collaborate. Let's chat about strategies that fit your unique goals. Can we be a dream team? Let's find out. Book a call. Join my modern real estate agent community. So I have a private real estate agent Facebook group where I'm posting strategies, tools, resources. So I encourage them to join. And then the third is, hey, let's connect on social for tips, educational content, and some lighthearted fun. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. And so that's my call to action on every single one of my newsletters that goes out. Now, I may slowly transition that over time or, take away or add to. But I believe that the email newsletters that I send out every single week are providing a high level of value. May not resonate with every single agent that's getting it, but my goal is that every agent that is getting it resonates with some of them to say, hey, this is good information. I may not need every single newsletter that comes out, might not hit me hard, but I like the content enough where I want to keep looking at it. I want to keep an eye on this. And that way I've got solid information that I can use in my business. And then over time, I'm building that trust where my goal and my anticipation is that agents are leveraging the calls to action to say, hey, you know what? I've really enjoyed what this guy's doing over the last, year, 2 years, 3 years. Like, I am going to go ahead and reach out to him and see how we can work together.
Yeah, for sure. So I've been waiting to throw this in, and I haven't had an opening, but that's a perfect opening for me to do this. I end my emails or newsletters, however you want to do it. Like we say newsletters, it could be email, that you're doing constantly. Right. But the call to action is so important. Right. And it's what I like to do is tie my emails or newsletters into other things that I'm doing, where Sean is inviting, hey, come join my community. Hey, come, do this. Hey, give me a call, do this. Especially for email, because it's so passive, or your newsletter, whatever you want to call it. The goal, I have 2 goals. Goal number 1 is if they open it, I want them to want to open the next one, right? Just kind of like the voicemail rule. When you leave a voicemail, the goal of a voicemail is not to get them to call you back. The goal of the voicemail is to get them to want to answer the phone next time you call. It's the same thing with a newsletter or with an email. I want them to want to open my next email, or I want them to continue to want to consume the content that I have immediately, right? If I catch somebody that's sitting on their couch at 8:00, they read, they like, hey. So I end mine very similar to what Sean does, but I have an agent course instead of a Facebook group, because I'm not a huge fan. It works for Sean. It's great. I have one. There's issues. I like my own little community that's outside of Facebook. Anyway, I say, hey, if you want more information on this, it's part of a broader course. Click here, sign up for my course. Or if I have their email, they're already a member. I automatically make them members. And my phone's getting blown up from New Jersey. If you're a loan officer, you know what that means. I also say, hey, I'm doing a webinar. If you liked this, I'm doing a webinar about this topic, about that topic next week or in a month. Sign up for that. Click here, boom, and they're in, right? So it's, if they like what they're in, if they like what they're seeing and they want more, I need them to have the opportunity to say, yes, give me more. But at the very least, I want them to, next time I send them a newsletter, next time I send them an email, or maybe next time I give them a call, I want them to want to open it. And that's the entire goal for me. But hey, I thought this was a great show. Candido, do you have anything to end on?
No, I think there's a lot of value here. And,
I'll make one last comment just to piggyback on what you said, Mark. Is I do some of that as well, right? Like if I've got an event coming up that I'm teaching, I'll use the newsletter as an opportunity to allow them to sign up for that. Or and here's one thing that I haven't started doing that is high on my radar is having a call to action where it says, if you did you enjoy this content? Maybe not in those words, but did you enjoy this content? If so, who do you know that would also enjoy it? Click here to forward to them, and allow them to forward it. And so that way, because ultimately, here's what I want for my business. I want my business to grow while I'm sleeping.
What?
Yeah, I want my business to grow while I'm sleeping. So if I have newsletters go out and agents are sharing that with other agents and they're signing up for newsletters and they're growing my newsletter, my database for me, in addition to what I'm doing, like that's the dream scenario, right? So, providing the kind of value that people want to share is also a big part of, where I'm going with this. So I just want to throw that out there.
Love it. All right, fellas. Well, great show. Obviously, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to any of us. I am Candido Diaz, Sean Richard, Mark Sullivan. Thank you for showing up each and every week. We are here live each and every Tuesday at 11 Central, 12 Eastern. Fellas, have a good rest of your week. We'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks, everybody.